You're listening to The Scrimmage with Daniel Hargrove and Justin Domashevitz.
Hello and welcome to The Scrimmage. I'm Daniel Hargrove.
And I'm Justin Domashevitz. We also have our trusty producer, Andrew Gross, here with us. We got lots of good stuff to talk about today. Madden, baseball, high school sports, other junk,
Stuff.
etc.
Yes. Let's get it going with the 2-minute...
Let's go. Gotta hurry. Hey, 2-minute situation. 44 seconds. Hand the ball to the ref. Gonna do it right. 3 jet Buckeye on 1 3.
The 2-minute drill starts now.
We need different drill sounds. Kyle Lewis came back with a bang and then left with a bang again. Concussion. Ouch. Justin, are some players just cursed?
I want to say no, but it seems to be these kind of things happen to the same guy. Like, look at poor Mitch Haniger.
Yeah.
Speaking of guys who are cursed, yeah, I'm going to say yes.
Is it
some
just
players
Mariners?
are cursed. No, it's not just Mariners. I feel like other people have this problem, but we don't know about it because we don't care about other teams.
That's true.
Speaking
More
of
Mariners.
Speaking of cursed players,
Yes.
EA Sports revealed earlier this week that John Madden himself will be on the cover of Madden 23. Daniel, what do you think of this selection?
I think it's great. I think it's a good way to honor him. Now, if they make a good game, instead of just rehashing what they've done the last 10 years, that'd be great. And also, this way, no players get cursed. Justin, if a player had been selected, who would you have liked it to be?
This becomes a complicated question because, as you pointed out pre-show, Daniel,
Yes.
am I setting someone up saying, like, I want them to be the cursed one?
Exactly.
But no, I think it's more like I would want a player I like to have the prestige of being on the Madden cover, and also for it to be someone who really deserves it, not like a Peyton Hillis or like a Vince Young, like guys who didn't really earn it but just make the cover.
I don't know. Peyton Hillis did save my fantasy season that one year. And then he ruined it the next year.
Okay. I think he scored 11 touchdowns that year. I think he was like the 6th best running back in the league and made the Madden cover. Anyway, I think for the prestige and for earning it, I'd really like to see a Bronco on the cover of it. So give me Russell Wilson or give me like Javonte Williams. Let's just throwing out a couple names. No bias here. Give me Russell Wilson or Javonte Williams. Daniel, same question to you. Which player would you have chosen for this year's Madden cover?
For completely different reasons. I also want Russell Wilson to be the cover of the Madden.
Because you love him
Nope.
and you want him to succeed and be recognized for his accomplishments?
No, I'm thinking something like very non-life threatening, recoverable from, but takes a long time injury. Does that make me a bad person?
Wow. I mean,
Daniel's-
wishing injury on someone.
Justin, you're only a little stitious, but Daniel is superstitious.
That's true.
Yeah.
What is this specific injury that you would like to wish upon Russell Wilson?
I mean, something that
Like-
would hurt his performance, so
Like-
not a high ankle sprain.
Like a non-catastrophic, like I don't want to see like bone through the leg or anything crazy like that, but nice little broken tibia.
Wow.
Just a nice little broken tibia, you know. It'll recover.
I thought you maybe would go like non-throwing arm, like broken wrist or something.
What if he plays through that?
You would.
Well, we saw
What if he
an
plays
example of
through a
last year
broken
that
leg?
he played through an injury and he was bad.
Yeah. So what if he plays through an
Then
injury?
he'll be bad.
Could happen. But then, see, it's a complicated situation, Justin. Because on one hand, I'm upset with Russell Wilson. But on the other hand, I'm upset with the Seahawks for how they handled that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in a very precarious...
There's plenty of anger to go
Spot.
around. You can be angry at as many people and entities
Yeah,
as you
so
want.
on one hand, I want Russell Wilson to get hurt because I don't want him to be healthy and do bad.
Okay.
Because that proves me wrong.
Okay.
I need him to do really well when healthy.
Yeah.
Oh, see,
But I don't want... But seeing him do good this year will also hurt.
See, I'm hoping that I'm wrong. I'm hoping that he.
You're hoping
is
that
not-
Russell Wilson's not good?
Yeah, because
No.
otherwise
I have way too much wrapped up in my complete worldview in Russell Wilson being
If
good.
I'm proved
Russell
wrong,
Wilson is a part of your worldview?
Yes.
if Russell Wilson being good. If Russell Wilson turns out to not be as good as I thought he was, then I don't have to be mad at the Seahawks front office.
I disagree. Because then, if that's the case, they should have listened to all those defensive players all those years ago who said, hey, Russell Wilson's not that good. You could be just fine using a different, cheaper quarterback and get us more guys on defense.
That's a fair point. You can find a way to be mad either
The
way.
words
I'm going to be mad.
the words Russell Wilson is not that good don't sound right out loud.
It just tastes wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I expect it. I'm saying I'm hoping it happens.
Seattle Mariners won today.
Yeah.
I think they're only
about
6
that?
games under 500 now.
Oh,
I
gross.
believe that's their third series win in a row.
Really? It feels like they lose all the time.
No. Oh, no, you're right.
It is.
Because they beat
I was saying I believe it is, but I was actually using that opportunity to tell you guys that it was the third win in a row.
Rangers.
I'm pretty sure they
Baltimore,
lose every day.
Astros?
I believe that's right.
Who did they beat before Baltimore?
Yeah,
It was the Astros, right?
Yeah,
Stupid Astros.
Yeah, it was because they beamed Altuve
'cause they-
and everybody cheered.
and they played really well against
Verlander.
Verlander.
Yeah, there we go. We pay attention to things.
a bit.
Also, you know how much it's helped that you and your wife have been paying like super duper close attention to the Mariners so far this season?
My wife helps a lot.
Yeah, it's awesome.
She can afford a lot more attention than I can.
The Angels, by the way, heard that they lost their 11th straight game today.
Yeah,
That makes me so happy.
Yeah. About
That's
time they collapsed.
that's terrible, and it just never ceases to crack me up that Mike Trout, a team with Mike Trout on it, can be so bad all the time.
Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani,
And
who
now
is also really good.
And Shohei Ohtani, who went to the Angels instead of the Mariners because Mike Trout was there.
yeah,
And it's like, bro,
The Shohei Ohtani that you refused to trade me in fantasy baseball.
yes.
Even though I offered you everything for him, I offered you Eugenio Suarez
yeah, that's not
and
everything.
the player to be named later.
Your roster has much more on it than Eugenio Suarez.
I
Does-
think I offered you Altuve.
Our RBI, our
The only
RSBI
person that could-
valuable and our RSBI valuable. Because,
Yes.
because Eugenio Suarez only gets RBI.
Oh no, I'm trying to get Eugenio.
That's what he does.
I'm trying to get him from Justin.
Yeah.
I'm just not giving up my only other good player for him.
That's not true. You have a good pitcher.
Not
Who is
this
it?
week.
Bueller.
Bueller, he got lit
I
up
thought you were
this
gonna say it
week.
was Shohei.
Since we're on the topic of fantasy baseball,
Yeah,
I need to share.
If you would trade me Vlad Guerrero for Shohei, I would do it.
You're the one who told me he was the best hitter of this generation.
I think he is.
So I made a trade. I want to put this out to the room, okay?
Okay,
Because
I'm in the room.
I put out a trade. I made a trade this week. I traded Mookie Betts,
Yeah,
and I got
good.
and
He's good.
What's the name of the pitcher I traded?
Musgrove.
This is bad.
What's the name of the pitcher?
Because I realized, as Daniel has been so upset this season, because I told him my draft strategy in fantasy baseball was I'm going to pick decent Mariners. I'm going to pick other guys whose names I know.
Musgrave.
Which means like basically guys who were mentioned in Mariners free agency. And then
I had his
occasionally
first
grab a pitcher based on what the rankings said. And my season has been way better than Daniel's. So
Yep.
he's very frustrated by this. And
Joe Musgrove. Luke was way off.
okay.
Luke Musgrave was a tight end for the Beavers.
Got it.
Joe Musgrove is the pitcher who's really good. Sorry.
So I made this trade. I got Jose Altuve and Vlad Guerrero Jr. and another pitcher like named like Knubel or something that had
Knebel.
he kind of has like average pitcher ratings. Like he's supposed to be pretty good but not a star.
He's a weird name.
And I gave up Musgrove and Mookie Betts. And I thought I got a pretty good end of this deal because I got two really good players in Altuve and Vlad Jr. And I guess again I may have made the mistake of not realizing how good Musgrove was.
Musgrove's really good.
But basically gave up Betts and got those two guys to help fill out my lineup. Well, our fantasy baseball group chat, which has been a topic of conversation on here because it's fun. The people in our group chat did not think it was a good trade for me. And some words were used that can't be repeated on this show. But I know all of this and people giving me a hard time about the trade. The thing I was most offended about was I made a hilarious and brilliant joke.
Yep.
And nobody gave me any credit for it. Nobody laughed. Nobody said ha ha ha. Nobody listened.
I'm sorry. I was too busy being confused of who they
possible?
thought were getting. I was really confused at who they thought was getting worked over with the trade. Because to me, I thought you were just the winner of this trade by far.
Thank you.
And
so it's
Daniel
really
is very successful at fantasy
No,
baseball.
I'm very bad at it.
But
so that's the one
it's
thing
not
to
the
be worried
point,
about.
really. Like, I don't even. I'm at the point where I'm like, I've put the trade and what anybody thinks about it in my rearview mirror.
Yeah.
I want to know why nobody thought this joke was funny. So I want to put it out to the room. And I need you guys to tell me, was this a funny joke or no? So as my trade was being questioned, I said, I'll go with the Dipoto move. This trade may not make sense on its own, but it's part of a series of moves which will make my team better overall.
It's funny. It is funny. But again, another reason I just remembered as you're reading it, another reason why I didn't respond to it is because I was hoping that I was part of your further moves that would help it make more sense overall.
Because you were going to get Altuve.
Because we had talked a little bit about it. And so I was like, if I respond to that, are they going to like think collusion or something?
Well,
like
I'm
that?
trying to balance out the moral side of this trade because I have already traded for Carlos Correa earlier in the year. Now I also have traded for Jose Altuve.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
It's not. It's a lot of cheaters.
Yep.
On my fantasy team.
That's why you should.
So I'll give you-
offload one
I
of
would
them
expect
to me.
nothing less,
I will.
Justin.
I'll trade you Altuve and Eugenio Suarez.
For
Shohei Ohtani. And a player to be named later.
yeah, wait.
my
As long as
brother
it's
my
crappy
brother
players.
chimed in and is wondering if Daniel wouldn't have just as good of a fantasy team if he would have drafted an OSU tight end.
Probably. So I normally homer out during these fantasy drafts, right? I'm like Mariners all the way.
Which then gives you a good excuse for being bad.
Yeah.
I'm saying in my own personal fantasy
But-
stuff, I've done that before.
And everybody goes, "Oh, you homer," and I'm like, "Yeah, wait till I'm good," and then I'm bad, and I'm like, "But I got
whatever.
players I like."
But I'm rooting for my players.
Yeah, but now this time I was like, I'm just gonna try and go by the numbers, who they think is gonna be good, and my team's the worst it's ever been. It is hot garbage.
See,
my combined pitchers this week had an ERA of 8.65 on a fantasy team.
Yeah, it's real bad.
Is this Yahoo Fantasy?
Yes.
And do they keep on trying to sell you like the upgraded rankings and stuff?
Nah, I don't know.
The insights.
I never looked
I have
that
a
much.
theory. So I developed
Another
this
reason I
theory
suck might
about-
be because I don't look at it very much.
I have this theory about fantasy football that their rankings are intentionally terrible to push people to paying for their services because they're really pushing like their advanced metric services in fantasy football.
Interesting.
I noticed that last year. I was like, I wonder if these are just terrible on purpose.
Well, I have been really enjoying fantasy baseball because I feel like it's forcing me to pay a little bit more attention to baseball season.
Yep.
But also, when I drafted all those Mariners and potential Mariners free agent targets, I wasn't trying to homer out. I just didn't know anybody else.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to have a team full of guys whose names I don't know.
Also, the Knable guy,
Yeah.
I don't know how you say his name, Corey.
I don't know either.
Maybe the K is silent.
Maybe it's Nebel?
Yeah, maybe.
Nabel?
Nipple?
Nabel?
What about him?
He's not bad.
Yeah, I know.
And he doesn't get wins, but he's a reliever who gets saves, which is a valuable stat
Oh, he's
in
a
our
reliever?
league. Not that I knew that before, but you didn't look at that before you traded for him?
Not really.
He's got 9 saves on the year.
I mean, I was getting Vlad Jr., man. I wasn't
Exactly.
concerned much about the rest of
Exactly. All the other people who are like slamming on your trade, you got Vlad Jr. I'm sorry, Mookie Betts.
I sold
yes,
high on Mookie.
Yeah, and he's very high.
Number 1 ranked player in fantasy baseball right now.
Sounded weird. But Vlad Jr.
Incredibly high.
Vlad Jr. is the best hitter of this generation, and that will prove out.
Thank you.
And Altuve, while I hate him,
I
he'll
disagree.
get better.
Julio's the best hitter of our generation.
Dude, I would love that
I
so
will
much.
say though, Daniel, this was an epiphany
might be
that I
might
had.
be a bit early.
An epiphany that I had midweek was that The two people that I've been asking for fantasy advice all year are you and our friend Sean, because you're the two smartest baseball people that I know, I think. Maybe I'd lump Braden in there. But like if I have a question about baseball history or baseball players, I usually go to one of you two. You guys are in last and second to last in our fantasy league right now.
In my defense, I had the last pick of the draft.
So you have 2 of the top 13 players.
Yeah, but it was also an odd-numbered draft, so it did not even out.
Oh, that's right.
I had the last pick of the first round and the last pick of the entire draft. I'm going to say that meant something.
That's a load of BC bullcrap.
I mean,
in case you didn't figure that out.
Draft position definitely matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was hard.
It isn't the be-all, end-all, but it definitely has a major impact in fantasy sports.
Agreed.
Also, when Marcus Stroman gets lit up, like my pitchers are just god awful. It's insane.
Well, let's move on.
Do you want to trade me Eugenio and Altuve?
Daniel's not ready.
Are you going to give up Ohtani?
For both of those guys? I might.
Ohtani and a player to be named later?
No, wait.
And cash considerations.
Yeah.
How many cash considerations could I get?
I'll give you the player to be named later, and his name is... Oh, wait. Did I cut him?
I'll take that Musgraves guy. The Oregon State tight end.
Mike Zunino.
Do you have Zunino? Ooh, then I already have 2 catchers, so I have to figure out. I'll throw Rutschman in.
Oh, today's Sunday, isn't it? I need to take... I have a guy on the COVID list who I need to take off.
You think you could do that after the show, maybe?
Nope.
He's not going to remember after.
Exactly.
Well, while he does that, we can get the imaging going for what is my favorite part of the show. Serving questions up on a silver platter where the points are made up and the rules don't matter. Time for Stump Daniel. Stump Daniel is brought to you by the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz. Thank you for that sponsorship, and we will continue to bring you this segment every week because of that sponsorship. This week, I decided to go with something that was from our 2-minute drill. I'd say it was the theme of our 2-minute drill. Madden cover trivia.
Ooh.
Are you done making your fantasy baseball switch yet?
I made the switch, but then I realized I had another guy on the injured list, and I don't have anybody who can fill his position, so I'm going to have to do that later because I need to go pick up an outfielder.
Are you sure you don't want to take a minute to go ahead and just, do it now?
I'd like to, but...
We don't really have anything else going on, so if you want to just...
We don't have much going on. I should probably look at our show sheet. What do we have coming up? Oh, wait, yeah, Stump Daniel.
Okay. Daniel, question number 1. You have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions.
Okay.
A possibility, I think, for 8 points. We'll figure this out as we go.
Okay.
And there's some bonus points in there.
Am I still on the screen? Am I good back here? I feel like this is going to be a terrible segment for me.
Great.
Daniel, who was on the very first Madden cover? The very first Madden cover.
John Madden.
That is correct.
Oh!
The game was established in 1988, and John Madden himself was on the first 11 covers all the way through 2000.
He was on the first 11.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, it wasn't the only football game in town.
That's a
back
good point.
then.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Back when they had competition that spurred them to get better.
Daniel, after 2000, when Madden was no longer the cover himself, who was the first player to be on the Madden cover?
This was 2001.
Yep. This was actually, in my opinion, this is one of the best versions of Madden ever.
Oh, if you think that
It had a dope soundtrack. Like it had its own music.
dude, the soundtracks for Madden used to be awesome.
Yeah, they did. And they had a mix of like original songs and other like songs from real bands.
2001. So part of the reason you said it was one of your favorite Maddens, which makes me think it could be one player.
Okay.
I'm following along with you there. But I don't feel any more certainty than you.
I'm just gonna go with that because that's the only theory I have. I'm gonna go Steve McNair.
Ooh, I'm sorry, you got the right team, but the wrong player.
Eddie George?
Eddie George!
Dang it, I knew he was a Madden
was
cover.
the 2001 Madden cover. Steve McNair was never actually on the Madden cover.
Okay, yeah,
I feel like he definitely was the kind of player
Yeah,
they would have had. But
I knew that. See, that was fault on my part because I knew that Eddie George was a Madden cover at some point.
Nice try.
Darn it.
Madden decided to name the 2014 edition Madden 25, which will create an interesting decision when the new Madden game comes out in 2024. What are they going to call it? They can't call it Madden 25. There's already a Madden 25.
You mean, wait.
Well, they come out
What year
the
was
year
that?
before. So in 2024, that's when Madden 2025 will come out. But there's already been a Madden 25 because they called their
What?
25th
Yeah,
anniversary
wouldn't you
edition.
It seems to me the obvious thing to do would just be call it Madden whatever number it is.
Yeah, but it's like 39.
Madden
It's a
39.
weird number.
But do it.
And then what do they do in 2039?
Just keep kicking it down the road.
14 years at a time. It's such a weird choice on their part to call that one Madden 25. But
Yeah.
anyway, I'm not sure what they'll call the one that comes out in 2024, which would be Madden 25. They'll have to call it something else. But who was on the cover of Madden 25, which came out in 2014? Actually came out in 2013, but it was the 2014 edition. So there's no Madden 14. Am I explaining this enough? Do I need to keep explaining it?
My brain's
You
hurting.
look confused.
Who was on the cover of Madden 25, which was the 2014 edition?
I'm going to say Peyton Hillis.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Targets.
that's not correct. It was actually Barry Sanders. I don't know how you didn't get that.
Oh, right. They did that whole campaign.
Yeah. They
Right?
were
Where
like
they,
celebrating the history of the game and picking a great player from the past.
Yeah. And of
Okay.
course they'd pick him because he's the best.
So Madden 13
Yeah.
had Calvin Johnson on the cover,
Did he get hurt afterwards?
which put probably.
Wasn't Madden 12 the last good one?
I
Like
think
the last, there were some better ones before that, but I think if I remember correctly, Madden 12 was the last one.
I think it's 12 or 13. It's
Oh,
one
really?
of those
Okay,
two. I
it's one
can't
of those
remember.
two,
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. I was trying to see who was on the cover of Madden 12. Madden 13 had Calvin Johnson on the cover, which put the Detroit Lions players on 2 consecutive seasons. Because
Also-
Barry Sanders was on the next one.
That's
Also
hilarious.
doomed Calvin Johnson to a shortened career.
Yeah. I think the Lions did that. Who were the next 2 teammates to be on the cover in back-to-back years after Calvin Johnson? Players from the same team.
Okay, I was going to say they were not teammates.
I wrote that as teammates. I meant players from the same team.
Okay.
The 2 players from the same team consecutive years. First it was Calvin Johnson, then Barry Sanders. Who was the next consecutive teammates to make the cover?
Members of the same team.
Same team members, mates, teams. This is like hurting Daniel's head.
Who were the
somehow.
next 2 people on the cover to represent the same team?
mates?
Consecutively.
Yeah, exactly. In a row.
These questions are wordy.
I was trying to come up with a way
Who
to
wrote
say it
this?
better, but yeah.
Who are the next 2 players to represent the same team consecutively on the Madden cover?
Ooh, you should get a job with words.
You should get a job.
Where you write things.
Oh boy. You're not even asking me what team. What players.
Do you know the team? Do you want to take a guess at the team? I don't
It
feel
was
like
after 2013
Yep.
and 2014.
Yep.
Boy.
If you're listening at home and you know the answer, type it into the chat.
I can't even remember who the Madden covers were. So I feel like I should be better at this, but I really have not played much Madden since they took away all the fun things that I like to do in the owner mode off season. I was one of those weird nerds.
Words.
Can you give me a hint of what team they played for?
AFC.
Oh, that was helpful.
AFC.
AFC. Can you give me
East.
the okay? So it's the Patriots, the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Buffalo Bills.
As opposed to the other Bills. I'm just trying to.
Well, there's the
I'm
bills
trying to
you
help
get
out here.
in your mailbox. That's another kind of bill.
Okay.
Struggling.
Randy Moss and Tom Brady, but I don't think Tom Brady's ever been on it, and I don't think Randy Moss has ever been on it, but I can't think of who else would be on it from the AFC East because the East is terrible except for the Patriots every year.
Well, you're right about Tom Brady. He was on it in 2018. He was
And-
on Madden 18, which
Okay.
came out in 2017.
You're hurting my brain with those numbers things.
Madden 17 had Rob Gronkowski on the cover.
Oh,
Doing a Gronk spike.
okay.
So you got that one wrong. Sorry.
Darn it. It's not going well.
Which two players were on the cover of Madden 22? So this year's Madden that came out in 2021. Why did they do that?
I don't know.
Because it's the 2022 football season.
But it's not, though.
It is.
It's the 2021 football
21.
season.
It's the 21-22 football season.
But it starts in
The
21,
Super Bowl-
and most of it is played in
the
21.
Wait,
Super Bowl
hold
is
up,
the
hold up.
2022 Super Bowl.
It comes out in like September of the year before the edition is of the name.
So this year's Madden hasn't come out yet.
No,
Right.
this year's Madden 2022 came out last year. That's this one I'm
no,
asking
No, that's
you
not
about.
what I'm...
You're saying a Madden has not come out this year.
Yeah.
Yes, you're correct.
Comes out in like September.
Yeah.
So
It comes
shouldn't
out at
that
the beginning
be...
of the football season.
Shouldn't that be Madden 22?
No, that'd be Madden
No,
23.
because it's the Madden for the 20,
That's what I'm asking.
22,
Why do they do
2022.
this? Why did they put them out a year
I
before?
don't know. It makes sense to me.
No, it
What-
doesn't
how?
make sense to me because
Because
it should be called when it comes out.
Or even the
It's
year
like-
that most of
they're
the
naming
season
it
is
after
played
the.
in.
Or all of the regular season.
Yeah,
There's regular season games in January, aren't there?
I don't think so.
Sometime, well now because the season's extended.
Yeah.
It didn't used to be though. Like playoffs used to start first week in January. All right, there's two.
Maybe
players
it's
on
because
it?
since it's only 3 months of 1 year, they feel like people are going to think it's old when 2023 rolls around.
I don't know.
Yeah, anyway, there's 2 players on the edition that came out last year. Who are they?
Patrick Mahomes and your local sneakerhead.
Who? Aaron Rodgers? What?
No, it's Patrick Mahomes in the commercials. He's just
Oh,
a
yeah, that's right.
sneakerhead.
Why are you
Well-
kicking me?
Is it your leg?
Daniel's been kicking me for like 5 minutes.
You won't get the hint.
I thought that was a table. Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen.
Ooh, I'm sorry, that's not correct. It's Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, who you said you didn't think had ever been on the Madden cover. He has, in fact, been on it twice in the last 5 years.
This shows how much I've played Madden since they've started screwing it up.
Yeah. Okay,
Or
Daniel,
not getting better. It's the main reason.
last question. You've only gotten 1 out of 5.
All right,
Last question, but
not
this
been
one
good.
has an opportunity for bonus points.
dude, I'm sitting in the duck zone right now. I better have the opportunity for bonus points.
2 Seattle Seahawks have been on the Madden cover. Who were they? And bonus points if you can name the year they were on the Madden cover. Not the year the game came out, but the year on the cover of the Madden.
Sean Alexander.
That is correct. And the year for bonus points.
The year or the
2000.
number of
The
Madden?
number of Madden.
Oh,
So it would be recognizing this person for what they did the previous season.
Yeah.
It's very confusing. It's not just you.
2006.
So close.
Oh,
Madden 07 had Sean Alexander on the cover. Who is the
Oh, wait.
other?
what year is Michael Vick?
I'll go through all of them in a minute.
Okay, because I thought that was 07.
No.
Okay. The other Seahawk was Sorry. The music got to me there.
You look fried. Has this taken a lot out of you?
Dude, I don't know why this one's so frustrating. Like, because it's frustrating because for some reason I think I should be better, but really there's no reason for me to be better. I think it's because at one point in my life, when I was a teenager, I was really good at Madden, and I could be super cocky at it, and now I just literally haven't played in forever. So, I don't know, Richard Sherman.
And you want to take a shot at the year? Because it is Richard Sherman.
Is it really? 2014.
Oh, you're off by 1 year.
2013?
15. Richard Sherman was on the cover of Madden 15. You got the 2 points there, but no bonus points.
Can we just say it's a shame that Marshawn Lynch wasn't on the cover?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go through. There's not a ton, so I'm just going to go through and remind us what all of the player Madden covers have been. So 01 was Eddie George.
Yeah.
02 was Dante Culpepper.
Oh, I remember that one.
03 was Marshall Falk.
Okay.
04 was Michael Vick. That was a great Madden.
That was such a good Madden, except for the fact that if you had Michael Vick, it was basically a cheat code.
That's true.
But other than that, it was
because they made him a much better thrower than he was in real life.
and he was faster than everybody else in the game. So
that was,
I would
that
really,
was true though.
I would literally get in trouble with him and then run to the back to the end zone and then back and forth a couple times and then run for a touchdown back the 100 yards the other direction.
Because the
computer wasn't very
wasn't smart.
Yeah. Yep.
05 was Ray Lewis because they decided it was okay and not bad PR to have a murderer on the cover of your game. 06 was
alleged murder.
Yeah. Or accomplice to murder or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Donovan McNabb was on 06.
That was also a fun one.
Sean Alexander 07. Oddly enough, Vince Young in 08.
I remember that.
That was a weird selection, I thought, but at the time it was like he was the rookie quarterback who you watched and you thought, oh, this is going to be one of the next great quarterbacks in the league, and then he just never got better.
It was also fairly close to his absolutely ludicrous Rose Bowl.
And 08 was the last one that they made for the computer for a long time. So
I
it's the
always-
one that
yeah.
I have played the most.
So that was the thing with me too, is from 01 to 08, I always played on the PC. I had a controller that I plugged into my computer, but I always played PC. 09, I didn't remember this, but 09 was Brett Favre.
Favre.
I didn't remember that either.
Madden 10 was Larry Fitzgerald and Troy Polamalu, which I'd say is probably one of the coolest looking covers. It's like the two of them kind of like
that was a good cover.
facing each other.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
That was a solid cover.
11 was Drew Brees.
Okay.
12 was Peyton Hillis.
Okay.
And to me, it's interesting that people still talk about this like he earned that. He didn't earn that. There was some kind of thing about how like they did a fan poll,
Bruh.
and then people from Cleveland like figured out how to hack it so that they could vote for him a million times.
And they
Just give Cleveland a win.
They needed,
just one win.
That was it. They gave Cleveland a win.
But the fact that he's on the cover makes people go, oh, you remember that one Peyton Hillis year? He was the best running back in the league. He wasn't. He was good.
I've never heard anyone say that.
Well, remember,
This is the conversation that was happening on the radio and on podcasts this week.
Justin, he wasn't for the whole year.
Yeah.
Because he didn't start at running back. So all of his stats were like the last 6 weeks of the season. The dude was insane for like 6-7 weeks.
When we're done with this, I'm going to look that
so
up.
like when Rawls finished that one season,
Yeah. I'm not going to stake my life on that.
Rashad Penny
So-
last year.
I'm not going to stake my life on that. I could be wrong.
Okay.
But there was a reason why I had my whole fantasy season saved that year, and it was Peyton Hillis. So I'm assuming that it was the end of that season. He just went crazy. Does that make him deserve the Madden cover? No, that's ridiculous.
There was literally some kind of a computer hacking Cleveland people with the polls thing.
But that insinuates that Cleveland people know how to do computer hacking.
Madden 13, as we already mentioned, was Calvin Johnson. Following 13 was Madden 25, stupid, Barry Sanders. Madden 15, Richard Sherman. Madden 16, Odell Beckham Jr.
You know what's the worst part about Peyton Hillis? The next year, I remember he sat out games because he had a cold.
No, he had strep throat.
I remember how disgusted that makes you.
So upset.
17 was Gronk. 18 was Brady. 19 was Antonio Brown. That didn't age well. 20 was Patrick Mahomes, 21 was Lamar Jackson, and 22 was Brady and Mahomes.
You have some local sports to get to. I was looking up the show sheet.
Do you have a legal situation and need someone on your side? Let the law office of Jeffrey A. Damashevitz be your advocate. If you've been the victim of medical malpractice, suffered a personal injury, or need representation with real estate law, small business law, or estate planning, let Jeff Damashevitz put his 29 years of experience to work for you. Call Jeff Damashevitz today at 360-612-3991 or visit damashevitzlaw.com. That's DAMASIEWICZLAW.com.
Thank you again to our sponsors, the Law Office of Jeffrey A. Damashevitz. Wow, I almost said that like normal people say it. That was bad. The Law Office of Jeffrey A. Damashevitz and Ole Penn Real Estate, the sponsor of our Ole Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week. Justin, were you able to pull up his game log from 2010 yet?
I've got it right here.
Was Peyton Hillis' game log? Because he did have
were you
good
wrong.
season. He had a good season.
He had 1,177 yards and 11 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But you were very wrong about the timeline.
He also had 2 touchdowns receiving.
In week 3, he rushed for 144 yards. Week 4, 102. Week 9, 184. Week 11, 131. And actually, he was pretty bad the last 3 weeks of the season. He had 59, 35, and 13 the last 3 weeks.
But where were his touchdowns?
He had 1 3-touchdown game. That was in week 11. He scored a touchdown in each of the team's first 4 games.
So,
No touchdowns for the last 5 games, which you said were his best of the year.
Cleveland hacked it. How did he save my fantasy season?
Well, by the last 4 weeks of the year, you were out because that was playoffs. Right?
But he wouldn't have saved my fantasy if I had missed the playoffs.
Is it possible that you built this up in your head as something different than it was?
You helped me build this up.
At that point,
you helped me build this up.
No, I mean,
you did this.
At that point in your fantasy football life. Because you have gotten a lot better at fantasy football, but you were a perennial bottom dweller. Would be finishing in 7th place have been a saving of your season?
It's possible.
At that point? Because now you have actually within the last 7 years or so won a couple championships and been a lot more competitive.
I like how you said within the last 7 years, that's recent.
But do you remember though that a year or 2 ago I went back and looked up a bunch of stuff about who had won our league, how many times, and I found out that you were the most recent person who had won it twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have 9 trophies. I don't know what that means. What does this even mean? Fantasy baseball, not good. Fantasy basketball, not good. Tourney pick'em. Hey, Justin.
What?
I think you owe the listeners something for our tourney pick'em.
Well, I sprained my ankle this week, and I've just been dancing is impossible unless I do it from a chair.
Bro.
So I would kill to be at 100% right now.
Yeah.
So what football season was that?
10.
2010?
Yeah.
Okay, going back to 2010. Found the history.
I like that you're doing all this stuff, looking up all this stuff on your phone about fantasy sports while we're doing the live show.
While we're doing the live show.
A little bit of baseball, a little bit of football. Although, to be fair, I was looking up Peyton Hillis stats, and it took me 100 years to get there.
I took first in our tourney pick'em. There's only 3 teams that year in 2010.
Was it just the 3 of us?
Probably.
I think so. Yeah.
My team name was the Human Growth Hargroves.
The pick'em was usually just us 3.
Okay.
If I remember correctly.
In player... Oh, geez. You're right. Why did I think Peyton Hillis was so good?
Did you finish in 7th?
8th.
Oh, I was so close!
You want to know what my team name was?
Yeah.
The Crap McCrap.
That sounds like a late season name change.
Peyton Hillis. Peyton Hillis did nothing for me. I will stop defending him at this instant.
Between then and now, how many times have you said Peyton Hillis saved my fantasy?
Seriously.
Because to you it was real.
It was. Was I mixing up him and Jamal Charles?
We're going to have to look it up. Okay,
When
let's
did
find
Jamal Charles have a good year?
When
Let's
did
look
Jamal
it up.
Charles have a really good last 6 weeks of the season and help propel Daniel into
What?
7th place?
How did I have that so wrong?
Memory is a tricky thing. It really is.
Especially 12 years ago. The craps were
How
not
was
good.
that long ago?
That's gross.
Yeah.
But we had a scrimmage pro football pick'em in 2011. You want to know my team name for that? It's
Is it-
almost too crass to say on this podcast.
What is it?
The Butt Pickers. And then next year, we also had a survival, and that was the Nose Pickers.
That is juvenile humor at its best.
I was hilarious 10 years ago.
What happened?
I would say you're equally hilarious now, Daniel.
I'm gonna leave that page up for us to look at a later point.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, that's really funny. So we can do two things now. We can either talk about the Mariners broadly, which I feel like we'd have to bring Andrew's wife down to see exactly what's going on with them.
Let's skip it.
Okay.
It's a long season.
All right. And you're not saying that because you don't want to talk to Hannah. It's just
She might not want to come.
she might not want to,
I
and
think
we'd have
it's-
to like get her from upstairs.
It's actually
and-
much
she's
more likely
painting.
that Hannah doesn't want to talk to me.
Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah.
All right. So
She just said it's true from up there.
So let's get to our athlete of the week. And Justin, we have an athlete.
Are we doing the athlete of the week first, or I thought we did the rundown?
There's
and then
not
the
really
There's
a
not really a
recap
rundown anymore.
because all the sports are over.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We're done.
What
with-
were you doing this weekend?
I was
We'll get to that in a bit. That doesn't really count as
Seemed
sports.
Oh, it doesn't count as sports.
It's off season. I don't know. How would you describe it?
It's a summer program.
Program.
Okay.
It's a program.
It sounded like it's as a non-follower. It sounded like sports. to
I
me.
would say it's like an inside look at like a training camp. Like if you go to spring training.
It's like a preseason game.
Yeah,
Oh,
there you
okay.
go.
Yeah.
It's like
Okay.
a preseason
Yeah.
game. So it's fun to talk about, and it can help give you an indication of what might be to come.
Yeah.
but definitely no certified bucket getters.
I'm not saying that.
No, I am. I'm sorry.
None can be named now.
Yeah. None can be named now.
But we might have some previews of
yes.
Okay.
potential future certified bucket getters.
Yes. So our Oli Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week is someone who, Justin, how did we miss this last week?
We did a bad job.
I'm not sure if we did a bad job. There's so much stuff to get through during state week.
Yeah.
So our athlete of the week is Lauren Magoo. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. It could be McGough, I guess. Would be
Or
another-
McGo.
Or McGo. But Lauren won a state championship for the Willapa Valley Vikings, not only in the javelin, but also in the pole vault. Both track events that involve a stick. That's a weird way to say that, but it's true. It's true. She throws the
javelin
stick
is
very
more
far.
of a spear. Is a spear a kind of stick?
I think so. I mean,
It's a pointy stick.
Okay,
and
yeah,
a
all right.
pole is something you jump with. I mean,
Yeah.
that's more than just a stick, but it is also.
But
a
it is
stick.
also is a stick. Yeah, they're
Yes.
like categories of sticks.
Yes, and she So she won her pole vault, or she won her javelin with a throw of 127 feet 9 inches.
That's real far.
Yeah, that's real far to take the 1B state title. See, not only did we miss a state, because we listed every state champion.
Yeah. Well, not everyone, because we didn't list Lauren McGough.
Yeah, and she won 2.
Yeah.
And she also won the pole
This is a
vault.
bad job by us.
Bad job by us. You're right. She also won the pole vault with a jump of, is it a jump or a vault? With a vault of,
High.
not only is it real high for 1B, but it was the highest women's vault at the entire tournament, or at the entire meet.
And they had 2B and 1A.
Yes. So she would have won 1A by like 6 inches.
Wow.
Yeah. So Lauren McGough. She is our Oli Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week for 2 state titles for Willapa Valley in the 1B ranks, javelin and pole vault.
It would have been so easy for us to contact someone and ask how to spell her or pronounce her name.
Don't bring that up.
Bad
now.
job by us. Well, I feel bad.
Is that the name of the show? Bad job by us, because it's feeling like it.
Yeah. Also, I did another bad thing because I forgot to post a graphic for one of last week's athletes of the week.
Yeah.
Who is this not an intentional prejudice on my part? Who also plays for PWV, so
That's true.
is
Also,
a
Willapa Valley.
I don't know if she's from PL or Willapa Valley,
That's a good point.
but she plays for PWV, which is a partial Willapa Valley team. And I forgot to post a graphic for Olivia Matlock. I did everyone except for her.
In your defense, there was a lot.
Bad job by me.
Yes. But also me, because I could have stepped in, but instead of stepping in, I just thought you had a plan.
Hey, how about instead of us blaming ourselves, what if we just both say that it's Andrew's fault?
You know, Andrew really screwed
That's
this up.
Andrew.
Andrew,
You're the producer, man.
terrible job. Now he's throwing buzzers around. Anyway, Ole Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week, Lauren Magoo, with the javelin and pole vault state titles for Willapa Valley. And also, don't forget about Olivia Matlock, who was absolutely ridiculous in the state fast pitch tournament.
We will.
15 innings of shutout ball.
And 4 home runs.
4 dingers.
We
Her
will
slugging percentage,
have-
nuts, because she had 6 hits and 4 of them were dingers.
We will have
feel
a
like-
graphic for Olivia Matlock.
Yes.
I promise.
Yeah.
I feel like there should be some hybrid advanced metric that involves like combining ERA and slugging percentage.
And it would only apply to Olivia Matlock and Shohei Ohtani.
And
Yeah.
Babe Ruth. So we'll put Olivia Matlock in the category of Shohei Ohtani and Babe Ruth.
I like it. Done.
Sounds
All right,
good.
Justin, as partially aforementioned, summer/spring. So that's the weird thing. So isn't football right now called like
Spring ball.
spring ball?
Yeah.
But yet basketball is called summer ball.
I
And
don't
I
know
was-
if that's
I was-
officially what it's called, but that's definitely kind of what it's called.
Okay, because that was one thing I was going to ask is I thought summer ball started later for basketball,
Yeah.
but your son has already started playing basketball.
It also feels weird.
Also,
that June
football
isn't
is-
summer.
Yeah, but football has already started.
I mean, it's after Memorial Day.
all I know is it has begun. I'm going to let you talk more about like your son's basketball tournament because there was a couple of local teams there.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm coaching a Babe Ruth baseball team right now. And I don't think I have any basketball players on the team. Or if they do, Aberdeen hasn't started their summer program yet. But I remember playing baseball where kids would have football two-a-days. I would then meet them up for basketball, and we'd have a game. And then we would all sprint over to our senior Babe Ruth baseball game.
That's got to be some dead legs.
Dude, it's crazy. And so this week, I've got a ton of young Aberdeen football players on the Babe Ruth team I coach. And they had a really long practice. It was like their first or second practice. So, the coaches are really excited to get these young kids. And then they showed up to our Babe Ruth game just dead. And I'm just thinking, man, that'd be really hard to go from a crazy intensive football practice to then go try and play baseball. And then for the 3 athlete sports, the 3 sport athletes, I was only a 2 sport in high school. Later in the summer, there's going to be those times where kids have football, basketball, baseball, track, powerlifting, whatever. They have them all in the same
Softball,
day.
Soccer.
Everything. Fast pitch. Yeah, you're right. All in one day. Is that's got to be hard on the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And B, how in the heck are parents supposed to do that?
Can I say something that has been a frustration of mine without calling anyone out specifically?
I hope so.
The people who set the summer sports schedules
That feels very
for
specific.
practices obviously are teachers who have no concept of what real people's lives are like.
Real people.
How can you have a practice from 9 to 10 and then another one from 11:30 to 12:30 and then another one from 4 to 6? How are people supposed to transport their kids to these things?
That's bonkers.
Yeah. But that's also,
How do you do it? No, how do you do it?
well, in our instance, my wife basically becomes a chauffeur. It's like her full-time job is just to drive kids back and forth to things.
Yeah.
It was also, I was reminded, well, by the time they get to the varsity level, like 2/3 of the kids can drive and a lot of them have their own cars, so they just transport themselves.
Yeah.
But that wasn't my scenario, so I was like, oh yeah. Actually, I guess it's not as big a deal as I thought it was.
Yeah, but again, that's 2/3. What about the
Yeah.
other 1/3? That's a large percentage of kids.
Agreed. And it was kind of annoying. But at the same time, like, our rule with our kids has always been, you take care of your responsibilities in school, keep your grades up, focus on the things that you're supposed to, do the things around the house that we tell you to, then we'll kind of let you pick your extracurriculars, and within reason, we'll make sure that you get what you need to get to.
Yeah.
But my concern has always more been like what you're saying is just like the strenuous schedule on their bodies.
Yeah.
Because it sometimes is a struggle with my son's such a grinder. My high school son's such a grinder that when he has like a little injury, it's hard to convince him sometimes like, no, you need to take a couple days off because if you don't, you're just not going to heal.
Yeah.
So it is difficult, I think.
Having had that mindset in the past, not only is it about grinding, but if you're on the edge, like, I'm not saying that your son is this way, but for me, not only did I have kind of the grinder mindset, but also I knew that I was not one of the uber talented kids. I was not the type of kid who was going to put up 40. I was not the star receiver or the quarterback. So if I missed a practice, someone could take my spot.
Yeah.
So having one of those little nicks or injuries, that was another thing that was in my head was not only, I want to keep working to get better. It was like, if I miss a day, that kid behind me might take my spot. Mm-hmm. And so that's another thing you got to manage with kids too.
Yeah, and I think that when they get to that, like you're mentioning 3-sport athletes, there's also a lot of 2-sport athletes.
Yeah.
Like my son Peyton plays 3 sports, but one of them's track, and there's not really an off-season program for track.
Thankfully.
So through summer, he's doing football and basketball.
Yeah.
And some of the things conflict.
But
and
also he does powerlifting, so he's like a 4-sport athlete.
That's true, but powerlifting is done by this point. State's over, so they have weightlifting class at school, but there's not really much extra that's going on. When football practice starts full in the summer program, they have like a separate gym time from their practice time, so there will be lots of weightlifting. But for me, it's always like there's going to be things that conflict, and there are going to be times that you need a break. So what I want ideally is for the kids to be able to say, okay, I care a little bit more about this one. I'm going to prioritize that and not be penalized for it by, prejudicial coaching. And I'm not condemning anyone individually. I have not experienced that personally. Like I haven't ever had a coach that one of my kids has had that I thought, oh, my kid skipped this, so you bench them or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm saying, but like your point was it's in their head. Like you thought that.
Yeah.
And so I would like to have a situation where the kids don't think, oh man, if I miss this one football practice to go play in my summer basketball games, then this person's going to beat me out for a position. But the reality of the scenario is you let someone else get more work than you did. So you're less prepared than them. So you have to the kids have to balance out, like, where is my priority and what's the battle that I'm going to put more of my energy into.
Yeah. And not only was that in my head, but that was almost actively told to us for the first 3 years of my basketball playing career at high school was this kid went to all the camps. And I was like, well, I didn't go to all the camps.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you're on JV. Oh, cool.
But see, that's the other hard part is like, it's almost like,
and it wasn't, and I can see the other side of it where you said they're more prepared.
yeah.
But sometimes, even if they're more prepared, they're not better than you.
Yeah, so I guess that's what
know?
what I'm saying is like,
And
a lot of times the coaches are just speaking to you what's real. Like they're telling you, you can do what you want, But if you miss some of this stuff, this guy's going to get more work than you. And if he works more than you, then he'll get better than you, or he could get better than you.
He could.
But it could just be coaches like giving you that wisdom. It could be just coaches giving you that advice.
Yeah.
But what you want to avoid is scenarios where coaches actually say, this kid showed up to stuff, I'm going to play him, rather than letting them earn it by, being better.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
In addition to that, as a coach, if you don't see the kid, you don't necessarily know how good he is compared to the kid that's showing up and you know what to expect from. So that can be an extra.
The trust factor. Pete
Right.
Carroll loves the trust factor.
Yes.
Works out
It's-
great for him.
It's
Yes.
all different in every situation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Like
There's
it's
a lot
gotta,
of nuance to
It's
it.
got to be a situation by situation decision, right?
Absolutely.
So I played with a kid named Brett Turpin. He was
it's getting personal.
he was ridiculously talented in whatever he did. Ridiculously. And he had coaches that would talk to him or his parents that were like, hey, if he doesn't do all the off-season programs, then he's probably not going to be, starting or in this situation. And they're like, by the time we got to our senior year, we had a new basketball coach come in and their parents were like, look, he can be a varsity, probably state wrestler. So if you think that he has to go to every single summer program, that's cool. He can go wrestle and be a state wrestler. And the coach was like, no, if he's good, he'll play. Like, I don't really care. And I think that's the thing is, you have, as a coach, you want your kids to know that, hey, stuff will really help you if you go to all the off-season stuff. But if you're just playing better than everybody, you're still going to play. Mm-hmm. Because, he also had other stuff he wanted to do. He was a great football player. He's a great baseball player. Like, he was just a great athlete at whatever he did.
Yeah, I think we have...
I definitely...
I trust the coaches that coach my kids that they're being impartial about who plays. Like, whenever questions with other parents about who's getting what playing time come up, I always try to be the one who's kind of like, I don't know, man, my kid hasn't played a lot, but I think they're pretty fair.
Yeah.
Like, I think they give people opportunities to prove what they can do. I try to do that. If I wanted to make the assertion that the coaches were like being biased against people who didn't show up against the summer for the summer programs, I wouldn't have any evidence of that.
Yeah.
Like, it's something I wonder about and worry about, but it's not like I could say, oh, this is happening. In fact, in some cases, like one particular case I know of, there's a kid that played for Monty's football team last season who missed almost everything in the summer because he played high-level baseball, and he still ended up playing a lot of varsity football. Good. So I think that they are seeing that here's the most talented players, here's the best players, we're going to put them on the field. I think they're seeing that. I just want to make sure that the mindset of the summer program is not, you need to be here to play, but this is an opportunity for you to work on your craft and get better.
And then I also totally get, as a coach, you want to reward kids who are working hard. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing you throw in the mix.
But you reward them by giving them opportunities.
Oh, that's
right?
good.
You don't reward them by allowing them to start or have significant playing time.
But you give them a chance.
You give them a chance. Yeah.
Also, to Daniel's point earlier that it has to be individual, instance by instance, there's a huge difference as a coach if you know that this kid just wasn't motivated to come out to summer programs, or if this kid's participating in 4 sports and is busy.
Yeah.
Because
is he at home playing video games?
Because that tells you something about the work.
If you get home and you notice that 3 of the guys that weren't at your summer practice are playing Apex Legends online, which is a conversation that I've been a part of.
Gotcha.
You're like, look at, if you don't care
that
enough
wasn't
to
a made
come
up
out,
scenario.
we're not gonna bend over backwards to help you out later.
Yeah.
When you said Apex Legends, the first
Apex
thing
Legends.
I thought of was like
game.
apes who used to be legends. These are Apex Legends.
Legend apes.
I've
They used to
never
be
played
legendary apes. They're not anymore.
It's a video game.
My son plays Apex.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I know what it is.
Outside,
I don't.
I'll digress. And going back into Justin, you saw a couple of different basketball teams play
Yeah.
down in Centralia. Mm-hmm. What were your thoughts?
Well,
You
I saw Hoquiam's varsity summer ball team and Montesano's varsity summer ball team. And I think it's fair to note that, like, I don't know all the kids, and it's very possible that both of these teams and the teams that they played against could all have been missing people. But I know that for Monty's varsity team, there was a handful, like maybe even 5 or 6 kids who are probably going to play varsity who weren't there, including, 3 or 4 guys who could be starters. So we're, playing with a skeleton crew basically, but the kids for Monty's varsity team just got a little bit better every game. So they played 4 games, and every single game they seemed to be better than the game before. They went 3-1 overall throughout the weekend. They beat Rochester and Shelton, both schools from higher classifications, on Sunday to close out the tournament. And I felt really encouraged watching these kids play. I think the thing that stood out to me the most about the games for Montesano was just watching, like, the true emergence of Tice Peterson as, like, oh man, he wants to be a certified bucket getter. Like, he wants it bad. And if he could perform over a period of time like he did in this tournament over the weekend, I'd say it's likely. Tice in the 4th game, and he played really well in all the games. Like, he was by far and away the most consistent scorer, scoring the bulk of the points for Montesano. But in the 4th game, this Monty team, who none of their bigs are there. They have a 6'7", a 6'4", a 6'2", and another 6'4", all not there. So my son at 5'9.5" playing center for a lot of it.
Yeah,
and they're going up.
He's a beefy 5'9.5".
He's strong.
And beefy, all with strength.
Yeah.
Like, the kid's getting really big, and I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Like, strength.
Intimidated. Is
I
how
can
you
still
feel.
take him.
I feel really intimidated.
I can still take him.
Doubtful.
But as we're going up
Didn't this
against
already happen?
this Shelton team, which is a school from a higher classification, we have none of our bigs there, and we have an 8th grader who's going to be an incoming freshman starting with the varsity team. And I mean, nothing. Tarek Gunter, man, incoming freshman, played phenomenal over the weekend. I was really, really impressed by him. But Tice Peterson in this game against the Shelton team that had about 4 guys that I'd say were in the 6'2" to 6'4" range, where our tallest guys were no taller than 6 feet. Montesano took down this Shelton team in a very impressive way, led by Tice's 37 points, in which he did all the things that a certified bucket getter does. He knocked down threes, he hit mid-range floaters, he had tough takes to the basket, he had an offensive rebound putback, he had free throws, he's scoring in every conceivable way. He probably missed like 5 shots the whole game. I was coming away from it going, man, I've been watching this kid play since 5th grade, and the amount of effort that he has put into improving his game really shows, because he went from being kind of a spot-up outside shooter who was good at a lot of the little stuff to being like, straight up, this dude gets buckets. So Tice Peterson, I mean, keep it up, buddy.
List.
You're on the short. You're on our watch list.
There we
go.
I would say this.
Summer ball's one thing.
Yeah,
You got to do it in the real thing.
got to do it, and you have.
There's
to
a
do it.
reason why
Yeah.
we only have 2
We have-
certified bucket getters.
Our criteria is well laid out.
It is.
You have to score in high volume.
Yes.
You have to score consistently.
Yes.
You have to score at all levels.
Yep. So one game ain't gonna do it.
No, but if the effort that Tice put forth this weekend translates into high school varsity success over
And
the
you
next
d-
year or two,
Yeah, and you don't have to score 35 a game.
no.
That's insane.
I mean, it helps.
I mean, if you score 35 a
Wouldn't
game,
hurt.
you'd probably be there.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. You're right. It's consistency.
And there was some really, really good performances in these games. And I don't have like how many points everybody
Yeah.
scored, but my son Peyton played really well. Jackson Wilson did a lot of good things. Christian Olsen did a lot of good things. I already mentioned Tarek Gunter. Caleb Brulin played well as well. and I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody and leaving them out, and then makes me a jerk. But like, just this team that I went into the weekend, and I'm going to be honest about this. Like, I don't know if everybody will be happy to hear me say this, but I looked at the roster and I was like, okay, no bigs, not a ton of experience. We're going to be a bottom dweller. Like, we're going to get housed. And they went in and won 3 out of 4 games.
Yeah.
And 2 of them against higher classification teams.
Who were all the teams you guys played?
Well, the first game was against a Napa Vine. By the way,
Napa Vine's usually really good.
Napa Vine is really good. We played their JV first and beat them barely.
Yeah.
But we played their varsity team, and they kicked the living crap out of us. They beat us by like 20 points.
That 2B Pacific League?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's Napa Vine, Mossy Rock, Morton White Pass. That league is nuts. I don't know what's in the water down there, but they got like 6'5" kids who just pack it.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Well, and I would like to see, like, you know, what would that matchup look like if Monty had all its
their players.
Regular players. If Camden Taylor was there, if Soren Cobb was there, you got your 6'7" and your 6'4" brick house there to help out. But, Napa Vine beat us. And then game 1 Sunday was Rochester, and game 2 was Shelton. And both of those teams I thought were decent. Like, neither of them looked bad. Both games were really close and competitive, and Monty pulled it out in the end. So I felt good about that. But I also, the thing that, to me, when I walk into that Centralia Sports Hub, and me as a basketball guy, Andrew would hate it. He'd be, in HE double hockey sticks there. But I walk in and I look around and I'm like, this is amazing. I look around and there's basketball going on everywhere. It's like being in a mini version of Spokane Hoop Fest.
Yeah, but it's high school basketball, and high school basketball is awesome.
Yeah, you're misrepresenting Andrew. He hates the NBA.
I thought he hated
really dislike
basketball
the NBA.
and high school kids. So
I'm
this
bad.
would be a really terrible
all.
scenario.
That's
You
not true at
told me
all.
a story
You're
the other day
lying.
about how you wanted to punch high school kids in the face.
I don't think I did.
Would I make that up?
Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah, I made that up. Okay, so anyway, I like being able to just like, hey, there's a break in the action. It's halftime. It's a timeout. Peek over at what's going on the other court. We happen to, in one of our games, be playing next to Hoquiam.
Did you see who they were playing?
There was Rochester in the first game.
Okay.
And the thing, like, because I wasn't watching the whole game, but I happened to look over at a time where Michael Lorton Watkins is playing defense, and this kid looks like he's going to have a pretty good look at the basket, and then all of a sudden, Michael jumps up, and it seems like coming from a spot that he shouldn't be able to get to this ball, he elevates so high and just swats the living crap out of it. And I was told later he had at least 4 blocks in that game.
Yeah.
But I watched portions of that game, and then I got to watch most of another game later when they were playing against a team I don't remember.
Okay.
But they won this game. The second game, when I watched most of it, they won by like 40 points.
Okay.
And I was told that Michael scored 38 points in that game. And I think watching him, and I had this takeaway from Tice as well, the kids who put a lot of time into working on the craft of basketball, it really stands out. Because you see kids like Tice who, I have an idea of what kind of player he is, and he transforms his game so that he eliminates the weak spots. Like, he drives to the basket. He's so good at finishing at the rim. And when I watch Lorton Watkins now, I'm thinking, okay, well, when this kid first came into varsity basketball, I thought of him as this spot-up outside shooter. He's kind of undersized, whatever, you can take him out of the game because he's a shooter. The kid he's either got springs in his shoes or he wears bunnies on his feet. Because he plays the game 2 feet higher than everyone else does, and it gives him different angles on passing. And it gets him. He went up for a block at one point, trailing somebody, and slapped like 2/3 of the way up the backboard.
Go up and then play. I don't know. When I played, it was a more relaxed brand of basketball. Mm-hmm. Like, you played some hard defense, but it wasn't like there wasn't that pressure. There wasn't a league championship on the line. It wasn't playoff basketball where kids really start playing a brand of defense that almost the officials aren't ready for, And then at other points, it was like the opportunities showed up because it's summer, so not everybody can be there at all times. So it's a really fun opportunity where you can see sometimes you can see the people who have been putting in the hardcore work and they're already really good, like Tice and Michael. And then also you get to see so much more playing time for those kids who just haven't been able to show it, but now are showing that, hey, they can be a really good contributor, like your son Peyton, who once he gets his shot, you're like, oh yeah, he does everything we need. Yeah. You know? Well, and for kids like that who they might not be putting up 35 points, but you're like, oh, I need that on the floor.
And I don't know Hoquiam quite as well. Like I don't know all the kids by looking at them. Justice Stankovic was there and again, like did some really good things. I can't point to like.
What about Tiggy?
Tiggy was there and I was so happy to see Tiggy out there. Timmy Higgins, which we just call him Tiggy. Actually, I was sitting with Peyton on the bleachers and I just said, "Oh, that's Tiggy over there." And he's like, "Tiggy?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's what we call Timmy Higgins." And he's like, "Why?" And I said, "Well, Daniel said it wrong once, and now we just call him." You know what? It sounds stupid when I say it out loud, but it really is funny, I promise.
Yeah, sure.
But anyway, so Tiggy was there. Tiggy is a defensive grinder, and which is the thing I've always known him as a really good defender. But he also was like, he plays a guard. He was playing lead guard for some of it, bringing the ball up the floor. Oh, that was an element of his game I hadn't seen before.
Yeah, that's new.
Owen McNeil, who looks like maybe since last basketball season, he's grown about 2 inches.
Oh, really?
He looked tall to me, and that could have been my eyes playing tricks on me, but doing some good things out there. And I think perhaps the most fun thing was at the end of the game, players you don't always get to see. There was a couple of like junior high kids playing with Hoquiam's team. One of them was Lincoln Nemi. It was really fun. I already knew that he's a really good player. Yeah. But seeing him get out there and compete with varsity players, but also Joey Bozich.
Okay, yeah, I've run into Joey a little bit in the Babe Ruth world. He's a great pitcher for Hoquiam.
So I don't know what grade Joey's in, but I was told he's a junior higher, and he came in in the last, I don't know, like maybe 8 minutes of the game that Hoquiam was winning by a ton, and just started bombing threes and knocking them down like crazy. I think he hit like 4 3-pointers towards the end of that game. It was really cool. Being able to watch this kid who like obviously is younger than most of the guys on the floor be able to go out there and just step into those shots so confident, put it up, and just watch it go down was really cool.
Nice. Again, summer basketball is getting going, summer football is getting, or spring football, whatever they call it. All of the different summer sports, Babe Ruth, fast pitch, travel league, baseball is going on like crazy right now, which does make it a little harder for us to find stats for all these things.
Yeah.
So athlete of the week is going to become more work for us.
Even when I get stats on this, it was like, well, I heard this person scored such and such amount of points.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
All right.
Sounds reasonable.
They don't even really keep stats at a lot of these summer things. They're just keeping track of how many teams score such and such amount of points. And then like a lot of the dads are keeping track of how many points their own kid scores.
Exactly.
But then I talked to Tice's dad afterwards and he was like, I don't know, I lost count. And I was like, I was trying to count too, but I stopped after 21. But I was told by someone else that he got to 37. So
I'll go with it.
Me too.
Yeah. Your son asked if there could be a certified lockdown defender.
We were talking about certified bucket getter, and Peyton said there needs to be a certified lockdown defender just to make it fair, because I think he wanted something that he feels like he's got a shot at.
Peyton,
I agree with him. I think we can workshop the name though.
Yeah,
like bucket getter. We need something.
I gotta say that there should be something like that, and I haven't seen one in a long time.
Maybe a certified pest.
A certified pest might be it. That might be good. Pest has that negative connotation of like Patrick Beverly vibes, and I don't like that.
See, I also think that like there's more to being a lockdown defender than being annoying. Like it's a different category. Like there are the defenders that are intentionally annoying, and then there are the people, which I put Peyton more in this category of people who like just really have worked hard on the craft of defense, because I feel like people don't always understand that defensively it's not just, oh, well, if you're a good athlete, you play defense well. Like, just like offense has skills that you work on, defense has skills that you work on. And when you get good at the craft of defense, then you become that lockdown defender.
Yeah.
So
Austin Flock.
Yeah.
Austin Flock might be the best high school guard defender that I've ever seen.
Besides Daniel Hargrove.
I didn't see himself.
He watched it on film.
I'm going to say Austin Flock never got into foul trouble. I generally fouled a little bit more.
Okay.
I don't know, man. Austin Flock was real good.
That is impressive.
Like-
it is impressive that you are willing to acknowledge that he may have been
That's
almost better than you.
you know, that's the thing that I have like the most pride in basketball wise. And I think
Better lockdown defender, prime Daniel Hargrove or Haley Van Lith.
So when I was saying pest, I was thinking more along the lines of nothing is more annoying to an offensive player
we get ya.
than not
But-
being able to play.
and that's why I said
I
it.
understand what you guys are saying. There's the
Yeah.
guys that play defense by jerking your jersey
Shorts
right,
or
with
poking.
Waving their
Yeah,
hands in your face.
Yeah. And
That-
those guys
that
aren't
isn't what
so
I
much.
meant.
Yeah, those guys aren't so much good defenders, but they get labeled pests.
I'm also I'm not trying to knock those guys.
Yeah.
Like, they're taking advantage of what they can to play the
Yeah.
game and be good at it.
Yeah.
I have a couple of names in my mind, but I'm not going to say it out loud because we've already put a negative connotation on it.
Yeah.
But I think,
Well,
like
Patrick Beverly in the NBA
yeah.
is like pest.
Yeah.
He's the epitome of what I'm thinking
Yeah.
of that. And I kind of wish that Damian Lillard would just punch him in the nose,
Yeah.
but it
That'd be
never
cool.
happens.
Off the court, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, you were saying that one of you said something about lockdown defenders making offensive players frustrated.
Yeah, that was what I was
on
saying.
multiple occasions, as Peyton really prides himself on his defense,
Yeah.
have watched guys just give up.
Yeah. That's
And
the
there was a
best.
guy that he was playing against today in one of the games that I thought, okay, this kid looks pretty thick and strong. And he was kind of hanging out on the perimeter, and he made a 3-pointer early in the game when someone else was guarding him. And I was like, okay, so he can shoot. And I thought, all right, well, this will be an interesting battle. And Peyton was so all over him that he barely tried.
Yes.
The whole game that he was guarding him, he barely
Yes.
tried. He hung out on the perimeter. He'd get the ball in his hands. He'd go into the triple threat stance and then just pass it away. And I was like, okay, that's cool. So that's
like
the
it.
kind of thing I look for when
I like
watching my son play defense.
I can't say that I can experience that, but I imagine that seems like it would be incredibly like fulfilling. Like just
Yes.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. All right, we got more on youth sports coming up after this, including, and also the mailbag. But first, we're going to take a commercial break.
At Ole Pen Real Estate, we have solidified our foundation on 4 core values. First, we continuously focus on growing our knowledge in the market and in our practices to bring the highest level of competency to our clients. Second, we provide a high level of integrity, compassion, and kindness in every aspect of our business. Third, we put the human element above business through humor, enthusiasm, and patience. And last but not least, we proactively respond to the needs of our clients. Our mission is to create a personal real estate experience, one person and one home at a time. With Ole Pen, it's personal.
Thank you again to our sponsors, Ole Pen Real Estate, the sponsor of our Ole Pen Real Estate Athlete of the Week, and the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz.
No relation.
What's the A stand for? Thank you again to our sponsors. It is now time. No, it's not time for that yet. First, this doesn't.
What if
really,
we do that discussion in the mailbag?
Is it a mailbag discussion?
Yeah.
Okay, then it's now time.
For Daniel's favorite part of it.
The mailbag.
Yes,
Send
the
us your
mailbag.
stuff. Send us your stuff in a mailbag.
So we do have some questions and
Oh, good,
commentary. Do you guys want to do that before what you were
Yeah.
considering?
Yes.
Okay. So
Let's put the listeners first.
That's different.
You know
that
what?
doesn't
Screw
seem-
you, listeners.
My brother is suggesting denial deity, swagging swatter, or a lockdown offender.
Oh, I like the lockdown offender. That's pretty
Lockdown
good.
offender.
And my wife has a question that I think is actually a good one for discussion.
Are you surprised by that? You seem surprised by that. Am I getting you
Way
in
to
trouble
call
right
him
now?
out. Jeez.
She just pointed out that putting the listener first is a first.
Oh.
You were like, my wife actually made a good point for once.
No, I think this one's a fun one for discussion.
Hannah, I think you make good points a lot.
Who would who would make your dream team 9-man lineup in baseball? You can use both historical and current players at their peaks.
Oh.
Dream team 9-man lineup.
Can we take a week to marinate on this and then come back with
So
it?
she's
That
saying-
might be fun.
She's saying 9-man as in like...
I love this idea.
Like your lineup, like your.
I know, but
all-time-
she's saying 9-man like the pitcher is hitting. That's how I'm taking
Can
that.
you have a DH?
or it would be a DH, like
Because
would be
everyone
just the
knows who
lineup.
everyone's DH would be.
Well, it's Edgar Martinez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know who my closer
But
would
if
be.
it's not, then I might go with Babe Ruth as my pitcher.
Yeah.
Prime.
Oh.
That'd be stupid.
I'd go with Shohei
I
Ohtani.
guess maybe we'd also want to talk about like, are we just talking about offensive or dream team 9-man team? To
I
put
think
on
you'd
the
have to
field?
consider all factors.
I
Yeah,
agree.
Yeah. Can I go with like that old Pepsi commercial where they just cloned Ken Griffey Jr. 9 times?
I'm getting a no.
They just cloned him, and then they're like the other team's manager. There was like pitch by Griffey to Griffey, throws to Griffey at second base, and they got him stealing. And then it like goes to the managers, the other team, and they're like, "This human cloning thing is really not cool." And then it goes to the fans, and Griffey's like serving popcorn. That's a great
I
commercial.
wonder if Griffey would be good at serving popcorn.
Probably not.
It might be beneath him.
One handful for you, one handful for me.
I bet he would sprain his ankle walking down the stairs.
Rude.
He didn't deal with ankle sprains. He just pulled hamstrings.
I bet he would pull his hamstring walking up the stairs.
Yeah, but he would still get the job done because you just have to hand people popcorn. It's not like he has
If he
to run
wanted
around
to
the
be
bases.
a great popcorn distributor, like some of the great popcorn distributors of his time, he would have just taken steroids like the rest of them.
Anything else from the mailbag?
No, that's all we got. Do we want to sit on that one and think about it for a week?
I think we'll want to put more effort in than because I think
coming up with names off the top of our head.
I think I could just whip out nine
What? 9
players?
What?
Whipping them
9
out
what
there.
could you whip out?
I could just
You
whip
could
out
whip out 9
players.
what? I would like to hear.
9 players. I've said it 3 times. I've said it 3 times.
I was cutting you off on purpose.
I know. I didn't like it.
Earlier, my brother was saying that Madden's so old that he should probably move to the cover of Mutant Football League.
Does your brother know that Madden passed away?
I'm not sure.
I'm guessing no.
But there are zombies in Mutant Football League, so...
So it's possible.
Yeah.
All right.
And Hannah says that she thinks Justin is the most likely of any of us to punch a high school kid in the face.
I've done it. Moving on. Daniel, you had a discussion that you wanted to bring to the table here.
Again, right? I wanted to bring
This
it
is
up
a
again.
perennial
Yeah.
discussion.
Travel ball is bad. And
Specifically baseball. Are there other travel?
so I was thinking more specifically baseball.
There is
but,
for all the main sports now.
But
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I think the only one you really don't see is football.
But
right?
they do, yeah, they have, but it's not full contact football like off season. They
It's like
have
7-on-7?
the 7-on-7
Okay.
and stuff.
So as you might know, I have a torn Achilles, and so I'm going to physical therapy.
I did know that.
And well, they might know.
I also
Oh.
knew that.
You guys are amazing. Very good observation skills, both of you. 2 points. Um,
That's more than you scored in Stump Daniel.
My brother says that is the point of his suggestion for Madden.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. So with my discussion with how much I think that travel ball and playing one sport year round, especially from my point of view, baseball has led to arm injuries. It seems from anecdotal evidence, she hasn't done a story with statistics, but she said, my physical therapist said 20 years ago when she first came to the area to start this physical therapy practice, it was very rare to have a youth sports athlete as a patient. It was the very rare, broken leg from a football game or something like that. She says now it's like 3 to 5 times a week. And part of what she attributes it to, like I do, is playing one sport year round. And I was like, oh yeah, like with baseball, arm injuries and stuff. And she's like, yeah, but I have soccer players coming in who are playing like on 3 or 4 different soccer teams. And they're coming in with knee injuries and ankle injuries and knee injuries. And, it's just like hip problems. And it's just like you play enough of one sport doing the same thing over and over again, you start to get those like wear and tear injuries at a younger
repetitive motions.
Yeah. And apparently I thought it was just, I thought it made more sense for baseball because throwing's kind of a weirder thing. But even something like soccer, she was like, no, I have these kids coming in for physical therapy appointments for all these different things. And I'm like, that's horrible. And so I felt vindicated a little bit, I guess, is why I'm bringing it up yet again. Because it's not just hurting youth sports as a whole, as I think it would be ignorant to say that it is not hurting local little leagues, local rec sports, school sports, stuff like that, to have these kind of elite travel teams that are happening. And I'm not saying that any of those people are doing any of those things for the wrong reasons, but I think that they have negative side effects not only on some of the other youth leagues around the area, but also on the health of the athletes themselves. And I still don't have hard evidence on the health side of it, but now I also have the anecdotal evidence of a physical therapist along with what I've seen in baseball, where Tommy John surgery is not only common, but common at younger and younger ages.
I can tell you from experience that the one season that either of my boys played on a travel baseball team, which going into it, I have always been kind of like you were saying, the travel sports and the extended seasons, I had always attributed, there was no contact football outside of football season. So that would have been my number one, is like, let's not have repeated blows to the head outside of fall.
Absolutely.
Or ever, but I guess outside of fall. But baseball was the one where I was like, okay, this repetitive arm motion, especially if you have a kid who pitches, there's a lot of things to worry about. Going into it, my son, it was his 10-year-old year. He had just started like enjoying some real success, and he had been invited to play on this travel baseball team. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. And then the coaches said, we're going to keep it kind of light. We're going to do maybe 5 or 6 tournaments, but it'll give the kids some extra batting cage sessions and some extra practices. And I was like, okay, I think that sounds good.
Yeah.
So we played a baseball season that started in January with practices for travel ball. Mm-hmm. Played travel ball and little league. And then my son's little league all-star team made it through districts and to the state tournament. So we ended up playing from January to like late July. And by the end of it, he was so fried and burnt out on baseball that even though going into that season, he was so gung-ho, like this was his, I want to go in on baseball. By the end of it, like mentally, physically, he was so fried that he decided, I don't want to play baseball next year.
And that's the other thing. And I didn't even bring up burnout.
Yeah. So, but part of that, I think, was like just the physical toll he was feeling on his body. It was more strenuous than what he had previously put himself through. And he kind of felt towards the end of it like, I didn't like this anymore. Mm-hmm. So I worry. I've avoided a lot of those scenarios, and I'm not like casting judgment on people who don't.
Yeah.
But
it's hard not to at this point.
Yeah, because, especially with Peyton, my older son, he never played travel ball, and like everybody else in his friend group did pretty much. And I had to watch him every single little league season struggle throughout the season to catch up to those other kids who had already been playing for 2 months. So it was hard.
Yep.
But, we kind of held firm on the, I want you to just play baseball when it's baseball season, and we just went with that. But the idea of it being expanded to other sports is really interesting to me, because as I've talked through with Peyton, like how the different seasons have an effect on his body, basketball season is actually really difficult for him, because as like football, he's a lineman and a linebacker, so there's lots of collisions and bruises and all that stuff. And obviously he comes home hurting after a game.
Yeah.
But in basketball season, because of the hard surface and all the quick cuts and so much running, he actually has more problems with his joints, his knees and his ankles during basketball than he does during football. So by the time basketball season is over, even though he loves it, I'm almost like, when it's over, I'm like, okay, now we can transition to something that's going to be a little easier on his knees.
Yeah.
So I really like the idea of what you're saying, and I feel like it's making me think back on life, some of my real life experiences of just how all the different sports use different, you have different motions, different parts of your body that the strain is on. So even if you want to play all the sports, which they shouldn't have to, but if they want to, then if they play different sports, then they're not putting repeated strain on the same things over and over again.
Absolutely. I mean, even if it's golf,
Yeah.
even if you're playing golf year round, which is a thing.
Not a sport, though. It's an activity.
Okay.
But also, Andrew said that baseball is an activity,
Yeah.
not a sport.
So, I mean, even if you're playing, see, here's my thing. At a youth level, even with golf, which isn't exactly something you would think of as coming up with injuries, but I'm sure you could have injuries related to it too. If you're doing it all the time, you're at the range for an hour or more every day, playing every day, I'm sure you could come up with some back injuries, some twisting injuries, stuff like that. Let's say you're not a three sport athlete, so you're not playing all the different ones, so you're not getting. I still think you need a break. You need breaks from these sports. And it's not just physical, as we've talked about, but I think it's mental as well. Because I think burnout is real as well. Because even sometimes now we've seen athletes who are three sport athletes, but they put so much time in over the summer as well that they don't get that break.
Yeah.
You know, they don't get that break to be a teenager and go camping. That's football camps and baseball camps and basketball camps and summer league and spring
camps.
practice and football practice. Yeah, and weight room and everything. And then by the time they get to their senior year, it's not every athlete, but every now and then you see one that just goes, I'm done. Mm-hmm. You know?
I can think of a couple specifically
Yeah,
in my head that by their senior year were like, I'm going to skip this one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that can be prevented if you keep it more about the joy and less about this kid has to reach his highest potential at this sport.
Mm-hmm.
Especially at this sport right now.
Yeah.
Because there's always guys that are on a bubble for any kind of thing.
Yeah.
But if you've got a kid who's a D1 athlete, I have news for you. They don't have to go to every single camp to be that good. Especially as a kid, especially as a young kid. Maybe junior, senior year of high school.
Yeah.
Maybe that's when you start being like, hey, you know what? We've got attention from people. We should go. But there's like Justin was talking about watching Peyton like kind of struggle to catch up in Little League. I think part of the problem, like that's hard to watch because it's frustrating as a kid.
Yeah.
And as a parent, you don't want to see your kid getting frustrated, but it's also totally okay. Like it's totally okay to not be the best baseball player, especially if you were busy doing other things that helped you be a better overall athlete.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the part that I would get upset about is at that age, at 10, 11, 12, seeing your kid struggle not being the best because other kids are getting more time. That sucks.
Yeah,
because then they're
I'm not saying it doesn't suck.
Yeah, because then they're at a different. They're at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Like, I'm fine if my kid learns 10, 11, 12 how to fail and like, okay, I'm not as good of a baseball player. But if he's actually as talented as these other kids, and that's why I think that you're seeing local leagues suffer. That's why Hoquiam and Aberdeen have like 3 Little League teams now. Because if you're not one of those travel ball kids,
You don't want to go.
you don't want to go get beat up on by travel ball kids all the time. Like, if I was one of those kids, and especially if you're borderline, if you're not one of those like uber talented kids, like, and maybe I take this way too personal, but if I was on when I played Little League, if there was a travel ball team, I was not prime suspect to be picked for it.
Yeah.
But by the end of the Little League season, all starting from the similar platform that we had, I was able to compete well. Yeah. But if kids aren't starting at that, and kids are coming in and they're like, oh, these kids are already coming in way ahead of me, then guess what? Those kids aren't going to want to even start anymore. And that's why you see the leagues shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, in my opinion. Yeah. I mean, there's other factors, obviously, economically and area growth and school size, but I think it's happening way faster than that, in my opinion. I don't know.
There's also generally clubs in general, like public involvement is down, not just in youth sports, but in other things.
That's a good point.
Your sister's chiming in with something interesting that I didn't know. She says that it was a huge part of the movie King Richard. I assume this is talking about Venus and Serena's dad.
That's what the
he
movie
refused to have to let Venus and Serena burn themselves out on youth tournaments. All the experts said that it would hurt their career, but it ended up protecting their childhood and giving them and protecting the longevity of their love for the sport. So that's an interesting.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Maybe it's even more important if your kid is incredibly talented not to do that.
The other part of it that's difficult, and the other side, I guess, is, I'm sorry, I'm very distracted by this doggy. I love him so much. But the other part of it that makes it hard is that you really just have you have a lot of parents who care, wanting what's best for their kids, and trying to help them learn how to work hard to achieve what you want.
Yeah.
So it's so
That's
easy
true.
to put yourself in the mindset of a parent who's like, okay, well, my kid really loves baseball or basketball or soccer or whatever, and think, okay, what can I do to give my child more opportunities to succeed at this?
Yeah.
And so the hard part of it is we have this conversation, and I believe are both of the opinion that everything would be better if there was no travel baseball. I think that would be great, but it's also a thing where people aren't going into this with ill intentions. They're going into it. Yeah. So there's
and these are the parents who are involved.
Yeah.
And we want parents to be involved.
To a point.
Right?
Especially at the youth, at the youth level.
Unless we're
Yes.
coaching.
If
we're coaching, we'd rather
at the youth level. Yes. You want parent involvement to a point.
I made a mistake wearing black pants. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. Sorry.
So no, I think it's just important to apply that nuance to this conversation, that as we talk about the broader part of it, there's a narrower part of it, which is really, this is an effect of people caring about their kids, wanting what's best for them, and trying to teach them good lessons by and large, I believe.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I would push back, because there's some people who would say that it's all people who are trying to live vicariously through their kids, right? Some people would say all of these travel ball parents are glory days parents trying to impart their, trying to get their kids to be able to do what they couldn't quite do. And
I could have played travel ball, I would have made pro.
Yeah, and I would push back on that.
Yeah, in my experience, that's a very small percentage.
You see it,
yeah,
but I think it's a small percentage.
Agreed.
Yeah. So, anyway, the discussion continues in my mind.
There will never be a resolution to this conversation, because it's I guess we call it a problem. It's a quote-unquote problem that doesn't really have a solution.
Yeah.
So it's just something we'll continue to talk about and make sure that we do our best to apply both sides to it and provide all the possible nuance we can.
Exactly. And I think every time I've heard a college or pro coach talk, they have said that they love multi-sport athletes. That is true. I've never heard a coach say, I want a kid who has focused only on football or only on baseball or only on basketball. They have all said, I love multi-sports athletes. So remember that. And then remember, if you're a coach of a high school program, this is my opinion, but remember there's other high school programs.
I don't think that's true.
So, so if you're one of those high school coaches like, you have to do all my stuff all the time and screw all the other programs, calm down there, chief. Every high school sports program has an off-season program, and if they don't, then fine. But saying that yours has to be the end-all, be-all is unrealistic.
I'm with you.
I'm done with my rant. Thus says the person who has a son who's only 1 year old.
See, that honestly, no, I think that you and I have 3 children, and my oldest is about to be 16.
Yeah.
So I've lived through a lot of this, and I track with a lot of what you're saying. I think some more personal experience with other parents when your child gets to that age may give you like a little more perspective, but I don't think you're coming at this in a way that doesn't make any sense. Like, you're coming at it in a way that's thoughtful, and actually the way you brought it up made me think about some things about my personal experience as well. So again, we'll continue to talk about this every time something new comes up, and just stay tuned, because if you like that conversation, there will be more where that came from in the future.
Absolutely. That's going to do it for our show today. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast, the Scrimmage. I don't know why I said the podcast. I meant to say the Scrimmage.
The Scrimmage Pod.
But you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also on TikTok.
Where you will not find any dances from Justin.
Apparently
because
not.
he's welshing on his bet.
He
I'd
is.
kill to be at 100% right now.
Something's got to happen with this.
We've got some spiders in the yard we could find for you to kill.
Either I've got to get really good
That was
compensation.
very random. Why am I killing spiders?
To be at 100%. You
Oh.
said you'd kill to be at 100%.
Oh, I get what you're
Would
saying.
killing spiders put me at 100%?
I don't know. I was just offering it.
a
You
chance.
seem to imply that killing something would put you
Anyway.
at 100%.
Follow us on all the places. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Tunes, or wherever you get your podcast, unless you have one of those really weird ones that we haven't found yet. But you can find our podcast pretty much everywhere. Just search The Scrimmage. For my co-host, Justin Kid Puncher Damashevitz.
That was one time. And my co-host, Daniel, better lockdown defender than Haley Van Lith Hargrove.
And our trusty producer, Andrew the Pest Gross.
Sweet.
You've been listening to The Scrimmage.
Where'd Pax go?
Right outside. Because he got my pants all white.